To all of humanity, it's really a joy, it's my pleasure. It's always my honor to be greeting you and bringing this message of emancipation to you, whereby I'm pointing you to look inwardly, to discover that your real identity is your divinity. And that is why I want to speak to you concerning what Abdullah would have been teaching Neville Goddard through the experience that Neville claimed to would have had with Abdullah. And that's why I choose to speak to you concerning Christianity versus African spirituality. You see, many people listen to the story of Abdullah and Neville Goddard, but they never realize the symbology. And the symbology of that entire experience of Neville studying with Abdullah for about 7 years was teaching us what was stolen from us and must come back to us. Now, when we look at the teachings of Neville Goddard, we see he debunked secular Christianity, whereby secular Christianity teaches people to look outwardly for a savior or a redeemer. And most of the people who believe in secular Christianity, they also have colonial mentality, and they also have a mentality of lack, poverty, superstition, and a religious mentality. But we see Abdullah was teaching Neville Goddard that African spirituality has always been pointing us to look inwardly to discover that our real identity is our divinity. That's why Abdullah taught Neville Goddard how to overcome the lies of secular Christianity by teaching him that the Bible addresses the human mind and must be interpreted psychologically. That symbology is that we who have been robbed of our spirituality, we must use reverse psychology to get out of the Jesus and Mary story that is pointing us to look outwardly and believe in the slave master to be your Lord and Savior. And that is why Abdullah knew that as long as he taught Neville the law of consciousness, that Neville would have such a great experience that it would change his life forever, and he would teach this message. And there's a people who would understand the symbology and realize how African spirituality would always overcome secular Christianity and also expose secular Christianity, because secular Christianity is what have been used to keep the people in mental slavery. So Abdullah deliberately put Neville in a state whereby he would have this burning desire. And when Neville had this burning desire, Abdullah, who had the wisdom of the ancients and who understand that civilization began way back in Kemet, and they were the earliest civilization, he showed you what they would have discovered as the first and great wisdom. And that is the secret of God in man, the secret of the creative power. Now I'm just using the word God so you can understand what I am saying, based on the language that was being given to us, which is not our original language. Our original language has always been a language of symbology. Okay? And so all of what was taking place of how Abdullah taught Neville to use his imagination is showing us that the greatest discovery is discovering that you have a power that you can use to achieve your every desire, and that you're the Lord and Master of your own destiny, and that you can create your reality consciously. The law of thoughts, the law of mind. Our ancestors would have always sent this message to us. Even on the tombs, they would write, "Man, know thyself." It has always been about self-discovery. It has always been to look inwardly and to understand that it is your own thoughts that is creating your reality. Therefore, you have to be responsible for your thoughts and your actions, because your thought is what creates your personality and creates your reality. That is why our ancestors have all been pointing you to look inwardly, because they realize that the kingdom is within, and the king lives in the kingdom and reigns in the kingdom. And it's always been the kingdom of the mind. So my brother and my sisters, what Abdullah really taught Neville Goddard is that the original African spirituality has always been about discovering your true identity, and that true salvation is actually self-realization. It means that many of our ancestors, they were self-realized ones, and they knew that they had a power that could connect them to the sun, as in the S-U-N. And so they would look to the S-U-N for everything they need, because they realize that the intelligence of the S-U-N was what was resonating also in them as the life, or the life force that was within them, and they stayed connected and committed to nature. They had this understanding of oneness, and they understood that everything was all connected. And so my brothers and my sisters, when we look at how the work of Kemet and our spirituality was stolen and plagiarized and regurgitated back to us in a different way, so we would believe in the exoteric instead of the esoteric, we see as a result many people are trapped in secular Christianity, and they are worshipping idols, and because of their idolatry, they are living in mediocrity, and they're living in a lack and having a mentality of scarcity. But my brothers and my sisters, Abdullah taught Neville that true African spirituality would have taught us that abundance is within us and all around us, and that we are to live in abundance, and that we have to be connected at the right frequency, because everything is energy, vibration, and frequency. And our ancestors align themselves with this frequency of the universe and walk with the laws that governs all of humanity and governs the universe, and they learn to create their reality consciously. And that is why, my brothers and my sisters, as Abdullah would have taught Neville Goddard, so I want to remind you that we have to take a hold of our mentality and cast out all poverty mentality and all false doctrine of secular Christianity, and learn to practice our African spirituality that was known by our ancestors, whereby they teach us how to understand everything mentally, psychologically, So if you control your mind, you'll be able to control your inner world. And when you control your inner world, you'll be able to direct your life in the direction you want it to go in the outer world. Because you realize that the outer reflection of you is only a projection of that which is within you. For each and every one of us has a soul, and that soul is connected to the sun, our solar system. Therefore, my brothers and my sisters, that relationship between Abdullah and Neville Goddard, as I would have said before, it's all hidden in symbology. But the main point I want you to get is that Neville represents Christianity, because it was his ancestors that taught our people secular Christianity and would have stolen our spirituality and our teaching, our wisdom from Kemet, and put it in a book to try to enslave us and keep us in mental slavery. But we see that Abdullah taught us what is real Christianity, understanding how to activate our Christ self and how to open up those chakras by activating our pineal gland, which we are blessed with more than anyone on the face of this earth because of our close affinity to the sun. We see other people have close affinity to other things, but we are mostly connected to the sun. We are the people of nature. We are the sun people. That's why, my brothers and my sisters, I have to bring this message this way to bring balance. Many people want to take it one way, but I'm putting it in the right perspective. That is why Abdullah was the teacher and Neville was the student. African spirituality has always been before secular Christianity, or before Christianity, before the white man theology, before the European theology, before the European philosophy, before the Europeans came and colonized our people and give them a European mentality, Europeanized them. So my brother, my sister, this message is to help to set you free, for you to understand the message that Neville Goddard would have left through the leadership and direction of Abdullah. It is one that can set us free if we know the difference between Christianity and African spirituality, and embrace and accept our African spirituality and give gratitude to the ancestors who've been always there trying to get this message of self-realization to us, to come back to our original place, to come back to that place that we used to be vibrating at before slavery. So my brother, my sister, I really want to thank you for listening to me, and I want to say, if what I'm saying is really making sense to you and is resonating with you, I would like to say to you, if you haven't subscribed already, to subscribe, to like, to comment, and to share this video. But you know, just before I leave you, I just want to remind you that this message I bring to you, as usual, that it is the single eye, yes, the single eye message of self-realization, of which Matthew 6:22 says that if your eye be single, your whole body be full of light. My brother and my sisters, our ancestors would have known about the single eye before the Bible was even written. That is why Matthew 6:22, all of that was stolen from the wisdom back in antiquity, that our ancestors would have known that the journey of life is from humanity to divinity, and that our divinity is our true identity. And that's why, my brother and my sisters, when you have this great experience of which I am speaking of the single eye, it is that eye that will open within you after you would have experienced a great and mighty shaking, and you would have heard the unearthly wind. Then you would ascend like a fiery being, and you would burst your crown chakra. Yes, you come out of your skull and discover the empty tomb, discover the resurrection, and then you tell your story to your brothers and your sisters, letting them know that this experience is the rising of the S-U-N in a S-O-N. For truly the Bible is the sun book, as in the S-U-N book. And without the sun, there is no life and there is no light. And without the human imagination, there isn't anything made that was made. Therefore, the sun parallels the human imagination, and the human imagination parallels the sun. For without the sun, as I've said before, there is no life and there is no light. And without the human imagination, there isn't anything made that was made. And Psalms 84:11 tells you that the Lord thy God is a sun and a shield, and no good thing will he withhold from you. And then, when you look around, you realize that the sun has never withheld any good thing from humanity. For the sun is what powers all of humanity and gives all of humanity its energy. Then, in Malachi chapter 4 verses 2, you're told that the sun, as in the S-U-N, of righteousness, shall arise in you, not outside of you, in you, with what? Healing, with healing in his wings. And you see, when you discover the sun is when you discover true righteousness. And that is why when that sun has risen in me and I understand that righteousness is a discovery, I am bringing healing to all of humanity, pointing each and every one to look inwardly and encouraging you to use your mind power, which is your solar power, your sun power, your God power, your creative power, which is actually sexual power. Use your power to achieve your every desire. For that was the message that was started Neville Goddard by our ancestor, Abdullah, and that's the ancient wisdom that was always been known by our ancestors. That is why it's very important for you to know who you are. So with that being said, I want to say peace, love you all,